Hello there. In the last decade, we've seen a surge in malware activity from targeted attacks. To face these threats, malware analysts must be able to identify malware as quick as possible when analyzing infected machines or doing dynamic analysis. In this guide, we will focus on Process Explorer and how to leverage its functionalities to hunt for suspicious processes and malware. You can find the download link to Process Explorer at the description section of this video. Make sure to start the Process Explorer with administrative privileges. Process Explorer is a tool that lets us access a lot of information about processes running on a machine and offers some nice functionalities out of the box which we can leverage to analyze and determine if something is malicious. Let us take a look at some of the functionalities provided by Process Explorer that can help in our guess of hunting malware. First thing we will see when we open Process Explorer is the list of processes that are running on the system. Each process will get assigned a certain color based on its type and state. We can use this color to determine, for example, services or packed images. By default, configuration has following coloring scheme. If you want, you can change the coloring scheme. For example, if you see a process with service or pack images color and it doesn't contain any description or company name, then this could very well be indicative of something suspicious. Almost all legitimate processes, except for system processes, have a description and company name. So, absence of one or both of these should indicate suspicious behavior. Also, by default, we can see the path from which the process was launched. Always correlate the path and the location with the name of the process itself. For example, process running from the temp directory is most likely not a legitimate process. Additionally, Process Explorer provides a feature called Verify Image Signature, which will verify if an executable file or DLL of a process have trusted digital signatures automatically. This can be great help as some malware don't bother sign their code. So always be on the lookout for unverified processes or DLLs. This option isn't enabled by default. We can enable it on a process-by-process basis or globally from Options menu. Process Explorer also integrates by default with VirusTotal, so it can send the hashes of a executable and DLLs to check if they are already flagged by antivirus engines. If the machine we are analyzing has access to internet, I highly suggest to turn on this feature as it can be of great help during analysis. We can also submit unknown executable to VirusTotal for analysis if the result of the scan shows status of unknown. This feature can be enabled via Option menu. By default, Process Explorer doesn't show command line that launches a process. This can be enabled by selecting Select column option from View menu. Seeing the command that launch a process can be very helpful, especially if that malicious process contains some arguments that we can use to determine the nature of the process. I suggest that you enable this when you start your analysis and go through each process and look for anything suspicious. Analyzing the string of an executable has always been a powerful technique during static analysis, as they can contain most of the times interesting indicators. Process Explorer let us explore the strings of any process by double-clicking on its name and navigating to the String tab. We can inspect both on disk and in-memory strings, which in case of packed or encrypted encoded samples can be sometimes be gold mine. So once we determine that the process is malicious, we can take a look at its corresponding strings for further analysis. As the name suggests, TCP/IP feature can let us quickly identify processes that have been active TCP connections communicating via network. For example, if our initial indicator was log showing a communication between machine and the server, and if the process is still communicating during our analysis, we can use this feature to locate it immediately. Process Explorer lets us access any loaded DLL by a process by pressing the Ctrl D key shortcuts. This can be combined with VirusTotal feature to submit hashes to check if the process is using anything malicious, or to get an overview of the malware possible capabilities. When an application wants to access resources such as file registry, it needs to request them via operate window API responsible for handling requested resource. Once this request is completed successfully, Windows will allocate a handle and return its index in the handle table of the process. Process Explorer lets us access all the open handles of a process by just selecting the process and pressing Ctrl H keys together. This can be very helpful when analyzing malware dynamically, as knowing which file or registry key are accessed by malware can help locate and identify and give us insight into its functionalities. Process Explorer, powerful tool that can be leveraged to perform some advanced malware hunting and analysis. That is it. Thanks for watching this guide, and I hope you learned something along the way. Please don't forget to support this channel by subscribing. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.